'Tis the season for good reading. Except I'm too busy working or going to the store to do my holiday shopping to actually sit down and curl up with my 400, 400 now, unread books in this house. And actually, I think we're a little over 400. And I know I'm getting a lot more for Christmas because I bought them myself. So, welcome back. I am Dear Stalker Darling, and this is a study in stories where I just sit here and feel super overwhelmed by all the books that I'm reading or am not reading. I was going to do a little video on all the books I've yet to finish that are like half started or half finished for 2025, but just looking at them made me sad and anxious, so we decided not to do that. But anyways, it's around this time of year that on all the social medias, you see a lot of readers talking about the books that they are excited to read in 2026. Most of them new releases, like here are all the exciting books coming out in 2026. Last year, I compulsively watched them. That way I could plan and prepare for every single new book coming out, and it didn't work whatsoever. So this year, I'm avoiding those videos at all costs because this year I am there's a lot of really complicated rules going on. But the main thing is that I'm only allowed for the entirety of 2026 to buy 15 new books. There can be used books after a certain date. And I haven't decided how gifted books work just yet. But the main thing is 15 new books for the entire year. I've already plotted out a couple that I'm absolutely going to get, but we're not going to talk about those, actually. We're not going to talk about any of the books I'm excited about that are coming out in 2026. No, this video is about the books I already own that I have not read, that I am excited to read in 2026. Will I actually read them in 2026? I don't know. But this is to get me excited about the books I already own and remind myself what I have, because I do forget. I've only ever bought the same book twice, bought one book twice. That's only ever happened once, where I forgot I owned it. So we're just going to jump into books on my shelves that I'm I can't wait to read that. So one book that I really, really loved from 2025 was Titanic First-Hand Accounts. So these are the actual survivor stories and government survivor records of people who survived the Titanic. And it's madly fascinating and honestly makes you really upset that the big famous Titanic movie had all of this to work with and then just went with a love story with rich people and jewelry. And a car that wasn't even built on the Titanic. It was in a box. So the whole car scene. Anyway. But ever since, even while I was reading that, I was itching to read this other book, which is why I bought it, which is Shadow of the Titanic, The Extraordinary Stories of Those Who Survived. So this takes a bunch of the people I read in here, read their own words in here, and then sees what happens afterwards, because that was just so interesting. You're reading about these people and you're but what happened after? What did they do? Where did they go? How did this affect their lives? One man, Gracie, who, if you know anything about the Titanic, he's the first main survivor name that people talk about when they talk about the accounts. He had been ill and went to Europe to work on cure his illness, was coming back on the Titanic to see his family. And he was literally thrown off the ship in the water, climbed on board the upside down lifeboat, so literally half submerged in the water all night, and survived and was rescued. Which was one of the people on that boat, they're all straddling this boat, froze in the middle of the night and died. It's crazy. The whole thing is way more. Anyways, and he survived, made it to shore, but barely lived a year and a half afterwards. But he spent the entirety of that time, the rest of his life, devoting himself to the survivors of the Titanic, gathering their stories, gathering witness accounts, especially because there were so many things that people felt so gaslighted about. because like they had sworn they heard an explosion. They swore they saw it rip in two, and everyone was like, that can't happen. And it wasn't until they found the wreck in the 80s, I think it's the 80s, whatever, that these survivors were proven right about what they saw and what they experienced. So knowing his story, I'm so interested to find out what happens to so many others, from the richest of Mrs. Astor, wow, chapter 2 is just called The Ship of Widows. Because, oh God. So I'm very excited to read this. If you can't tell from the Dear Stalker Darling thing, I am one of the biggest fans of Sherlock Holmes you'll probably ever meet, if not the biggest fan. And I've read literally everything I can get my hands on, the good, the bad, the ugly, and there is some ugly. I watch all the movies and shows. I've listened to all the radio shows I can get my hands on, just everything. And a couple of years ago, I was like, oh darn, I don't think there's anything left. I'd read it all. I've done it all. Like, there's nothing left. And I was really upset. And so my time with Sherlock Holmes just kind of faded out. And then in this interim, all of a sudden, there's a lot more again. Some of them are new. Some of them are new to me. Like this one right on top here is from 2020. Yeah, so that was right about when I was disappointed there was no more Sherlock Holmes. So this came out then. And true for a couple of these, but a couple of them were used that I found on thrift books, which is the love of my life, as you know. And I've, again, fallen quite behind. I have a lot of catching up to do on the works in Sherlock Holmes. It's, every time there would be a new one, I'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta get back into that. And then I still haven't. So, because when I'm in, you know? So that's why this basket is super full. And I kept saying like, oh, I'll do a Sherlock September. No, Sherlock's good for Christmas. No, so we'll see. Probably my favorite way to read Sherlock Holmes is sitting by, the fire with a cup of something and a little fireplace, and if snow is coming down outside. But now I have a job and I can't do that. Adulting is really getting in the way of my reading time, guys. I've also been working my way or reworking my way through Ali Hazelwood's books. I don't have all of them. I don't want to read all of them. Some of her books, I just look at them and I'm like, no, not for me. And so I did the most recent one, Problematic Summer Romance, Deep End. I've read The Love Hypothesis, but it's been a while. And so these, and Love You to Loathe You. It's like a collection of novellas. That one's half finished in my room right now. But I'm just excited to continue with her because nobody understands what I want in life more than this woman, Ali Hazelwood. She knows what I want more than I do sometimes. I have a lot of half-finished or unfinished series outstanding. Like this one is the Cursed... When is this from? Cursed Crowns. Started with Twin Crowns. Yep. And I'm sitting on those. I've got a lot of series, but I'm still excited to start a new one, which is Rick Riordan's Red Pyramid series. Think Percy Jackson, but with Egyptian mythology. And I'm just excited to read that. I've read the first couple chapters, but yeah, it's just a lovely escape. Some rapid fire. We've got Charles Dickens, The Pickwick Papers. I've really gotten into Dickens. I just love the way he writes. And I heard this one's really good. Next. And then Lisa Evans, whatever. I have another book by her set in the interwar period, so between World War I and World War II. And I still haven't read it. It's actually right here. Old Baggage. It's about a suffragette and like what do you do with the rest of your life once you have the right to vote? Because they spent their entire lives devoted to this. So what do you do? And then this one is about a guy who I think this one's after World War II. Yeah, 1945. He is the inheritor of his family's old dilapidated mansion thing. And he wasn't supposed to be, but like all his brothers died in the war. So sad, but that like niche brand of like sad, realist, cozy English I feel like the English are always a little sad. And I'm especially excited for those because one of my other favorite books this year was the Hazelbourne Ladies Motorcycle and Flying Club. Now, first of all, I got this from the library and loved it so much I had to go get my own copy. And this is also set in the interwar Britain after World War I. Everybody's a little sad. Some people are just ready to party, like get into the roaring 20s. There's a lot of women who got to work during the war, forced out to, now they have to make a living or get married. Everyone expects them to just go get married. This book was phenomenal, a little sad, so touching, and it was set in Sussex in the summertime, so it was just so cozy, summery Britishness. Lots of cups of tea, 3 Bags Full is a sheep murder mystery. The sheep solved the murder. This has been on my shelf for ages. I think it was translated from French, but the point is that Hugh Jackman is starring in a movie of it. And so now I'm more excited than ever to read this. A Cruel Twist of Fate. Anything gothic, creepy house is for me. There's another book coming out in 2026 that's like a murder mystery set in a gothic, creepy English mansion. But we're not talking about books coming out. We're talking about books I own that I'm excited about. So this is, and it's nice and short. And it has a map, I think. Yeah! Love a good map. Love it. A Poisoner's Tale. If you've never heard of Aqua Tofana, go look it up right now. This is about the woman behind that, and I'm very excited about it. Empty Theater. I knew about both of these historical figures. This is Empress Sisi of Austria-Hungary. And this is King Ludwig II, who built the very famous Neuschwanstein. The pretty one. I'll probably put a picture up. And I watched a whole documentary on it, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, I had no idea that these two were contemporaries, let alone knew each other, let alone were family friends or something. I don't actually know if this is true. This is like a fictional account, but the chapters are so short. And I was obsessed with Cece when I was in Vienna. You can see she has these beautiful little jewels in her hair, and you can buy like replicas of them. And I did get like the entire set because it was my birthday. But I'm very excited. All right, this beefy boy, The Count of Monte Cristo. I've wanted to read for a while, but it has a new adaptation coming out on PBS this year. And I don't remember who it is. Is it Sam Claflin? I think it's Sam Claflin. I don't remember his name exactly. But anyways, a phenomenal actor. He was Mycroft in the Enola Holmes movies, which there's supposed to be another one of those coming very soon. Very excited about that. And he's going to play, I'm guessing, the Count of Monte Cristo? Is that the main character? I don't know. But anyways, I'm very excited about it, and I really would love to read it before it comes out in March. I can do it. Like, I just need a school level, like, curriculum set up of, like, must read these chapters by this date. But it's a beefy boy. Also, I learned Alexandre Dumas was a black man this week. I don't know how I never knew that. That feels like significant historic information, which is awesome because we love diversity. But like, of the classics of European literature, how many of them are not white? This is the first one I can think of. These kind of count-ish. I kind of started them already, but I don't really care. This is Chasing Beauty, about the life of Isabella Stewart Gardner. I have lots of thoughts and ideas about her museum lately in regards to writing, so I'm excited about this. And this is my cute little setup for annotating. We've got sticky notes, a highlighter. The highlighter and pen are erasable, and some more stickies. And similarly, Philip Gregory's Normal Women. She is a historical fiction writer, but she's done so much research for her book. She's like, I came across all these stories of just normal women, because she usually writes about like royalty. So she put this historical, well-cited, well-researched book that's just like, here's the days and lives of normal women. And I've read the medieval section. I've been really into medieval history lately. And it was phenomenal. And so I'm excited to keep going through. She goes through like, and here's the, what their, lives at church were like. Here's what their occupations were. Here's how William the Conqueror invented the patriarchy. He didn't, obviously, but he monetarily he invented the wage gap. I read Roger Lanson Green's Robin Hood this year. He was an author from like the 1950s. He was actually good friends with C.S. Lewis, who wrote Narnia, which Greta Gerwig is working on her Narnia adaptation right now. You might be excited for that because you love Greta, but nobody is more excited than me, okay? Narnia was my first, just everything. Anyways, and so I found out that Roger Lanson Green was friends with C.S. Lewis, and C.S. Lewis was like really questioning his Narnia thing, especially because his other BFF, J.R.R. Tolkien, was like, are you really going to start it with a lamppost? Are you really going to include Father Christmas? And Roger was like, no, do it. It's great. It's great. And so thank you, Roger. Now we have that. And I should have known his Robin Hood would be phenomenal. Literally every other page, he was like, and Maid Marian, who was just as cool and badass and good with an arrow as Robin himself. Amazing. I loved every minute of it. But then I also read another, a like newer adaptation of Robin Hood that at first glance seemed really terrible. Then I read the historical notes in the back, and it talked about that the original ballads and songs and poems about Robin Hood, he was terrible. He was just like an outlaw. He did not give to the poor. That was added later. He was just a robber. He was just like the drunk guy who causes trouble in your town. That was called The Traitor of Sherwood, by the way. It was phenomenal. Now that I have the historical context, I understood everything the author was doing in the book, and it was great. But to go from those two extremes, now I just kind of want to read every Robin Hood thing I can get my hands on. So this is Howard Pyle's Robin Hood. Howard Pyle does a lot with King Arthur as well. He's probably, if you've read Robin Hood, he's probably the one you've read. He was born in 1853, so very Victorian in his approaches. So I can't wait to compare this to the Roger Lanson Green ones. But I bought a ton, I'm saying a ton, of Robin Hood adaptations on thrift books this year, and I have no idea where they went. So I'm excited for those, if I can find them. Let's see. Behind us, we've got just so many. Oh, this one is like a spy agency for Victorian women, kind of like the Bridgerton Lady Whistledown, but it's like an organization of them. So I'm very excited about that one. Also, like the binding is so beautiful. The cover, well done, guys. I'm excited for this. It's a duology by Marissa Meyer. I started reading her. I got a free copy of her book about like how to be a writer as a career and like enjoy it. And I really have a lot of love and respect for her, so I can't wait to read more of her. We've got some Westerns. We've got a lot of fantasy series that I haven't started, but already own all the books in the series. So much Greek mythology. As I said, I'm really getting into medieval history lately. So I have The Rebel Nun, which is about an actual nun who like rebelled against the convent and the church she was a part of. I'm learning so much about convents right now, you guys. They were way more wild than you thought. Yeah, I might have to do a whole vlog on convents. And then The Lost Masterpiece. I love B.A. Shapiro. I got to see her this year in person, and she said she writes historical history mysteries. And this one's about Berta Morisot, who was one of the only like female impressionists. She was the only woman to show with the actual impressionists like Monet and all of them when they had their big exhibition. And I got to see all of her artwork. I think there's some in here. No, I'm making it up. There should be like full color photos in here. Oh, look, she signed it. But I'm really excited to read this, not only because I heard the author talk, but then because I heard her talk, I went to go see this exhibit of Berta, all her paintings, which were just incredible, like really worth as much accolades as Monet. She's phenomenal. I don't know if I'll get to this one this year, but it is a feminist retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. I've also really gotten into King Arthur and his myths because of Lex Croucher's Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, which also has a sequel coming out this year, but we're not talking about that. And these are, see, I own the whole series. A duology about King Arthur in the future in space. So very exciting. More King Arthur, short stories. I also read portions of Wild for Austen. It was Austen's 250th anniversary this year, so a lot of Jane going around. And Wild for Austen, which I'm hoping to get for Christmas. I'll have to do like a whole other video on just the books I got over the holidays. She talked about Sense and Sensibility in a way that made me really desperate to reread it. So I'm really excited to do that and see it with new eyes, because this one was probably my least favorite. Like, I actually liked Mansfield Park better than this one, and that's saying a lot. If you know, you know. Also, if you know, you know, this is Shakespeare Falls in Love with Marlowe. This is a play that was on the West End this year with Ncuti Gatwa and some other guy who I don't know, but was equally phenomenal, I'm sure. And I managed to snag copies before they all sold out because it was so phenomenal. Got a lot of Shakespeare retellings going on. This one I've been like sort of in the middle of since 2023 maybe. Okay, what else we got? Oh, there's another King Arthur retelling. Ooh, Divine Rivals. That was a really big book like a year or two ago, and I never got around to it, and so I have that and the sequel. The Hurricane Wars, that's like a Raylo retelling. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not explaining it. But it's supposed to be a trilogy, and there's been no word of the third book. And as you can tell with the half-finished other books series I have, I kind of want to have the whole series before I start now. So I don't know what to do with that. So many Greek mythology. Like I have 3 solid stacks of Greek mythology books. I have a lot of romance books. I have a lot of fall set romance books, like witchy romance books that I was really excited to read this fall, and I did not get to them. And I always want like a good fall book in the fall, so I don't know if I'm gonna save those or we'll see. We've got a number of romances set in Scotland because I'm super cool and I love Scotland. I've got a couple of hockey romances. Those have been getting big right now, and I kind of love them, especially when they're really bad. I love reading bad books because it reminds me that I'm a good writer. And you know what? I think that's a good place to end this. You know, I like to say that unread books, you know, I've said they're like a wine cellar and you wait for the right pairing. You know, you don't just drink all the wine at once. But I also like to think of the books, unread books on my shelf, as like, they're like Christmas presents waiting under the tree all year long. Because you have no idea, even if you've read the summary, even if you've read the author before, you have no idea what's in here. You have no idea what little nuggets of wisdom are going to follow you around forever. You have no idea the characters that you're going to fall in love with. You have no idea the settings that you're going to like feel transported to and want to live in. Even you know, nonfiction and fiction, you have no idea what you're going to learn and where it's going to take you. Right now, I've become really interested in William Morris, the arts and crafts movement in Britain, the Raphaelite movement. Also, these are all art things, and the Bayeux Tapestry, which is medieval, and those early art movements were relying on medieval art, and so I don't know if my brain is like connecting them in the background, but I just suddenly became super obsessed with them, and I couldn't even entirely tell you why. But that's the kind of thing where it's just like, this is a study in stories. You just follow your fascination, follow the stories wherever they're going to go, and just whatever brings you joy and interest to you. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing some books I'm excited about for the new year. I challenge you to go find some books on your shelf that you haven't read and remind yourself why you're excited to read them, because that's important too. Especially when you end up with like 400. I really wonder where those Robin Hood ones went. I thought they were there, but they're not there. Oh, I just found another big stack. Ooh, no. Oh dear. I forgot those were over there. Okay, so I've got a lot to read in 2026. So please be wishing me much reading time. If you know me personally, and you want to reach out for a reading date, great. If you want to do something else, don't. We're not hanging out, no. I'm mostly kidding. I really need to read, guys. I need to. Have you seen these books? Also, because I want to be a writer, this is like professional development. So I gotta work on my career here, guys. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, again, just tell me what book you're excited to read in the new year that you already own, or that's at your library. Just something that's already out that you're like, I really want to read that, and is not a new release coming out, because there's so many cool ones, but we're not gonna look at them. At least I'm not. Wish me luck.